The Chicago Bears suffer another disappointing loss to now start their season 0-2, this time a loss coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to talk about who stood out, both good and bad, in this game and why it may be time to be concerned about the coaching staff. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. And first up, we're going to talk about the injuries that were suffered in yesterday's game. After already losing cornerback Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker went down in what has now been reported as a heat-related injury. He eventually comes back, but Eddie Jackson went down. He did not return at all. It seems like it's a foot injury in regards to him. Keep in mind, I think a foot injury is what took him out last season as well. And then Darnell Mooney also suffered a apparent knee injury as well. So the injuries just continue to stack up for the Chicago Bears, and that is a big concern, right? Especially when you look at a team that hasn't had the continuity that one would hope, a team with a lot of new pieces, and the fact that the injury bug just seems to keep stacking up for the Chicago Bears. Let's hope this is not the story for the season overall for the Chicago Bears team. And let's hope that, we already going to be missing Kyler Gordon until, week 7. We're going to be missing Tevin Jenkins until around week 5, right? Other players, Doug Kramer's out as well. So we got a number of players out. And so let's hope that we stop adding to that injury report list and instead can start adding to wins at some point in time. But with yesterday's game, there are a lot of winners and losers in yesterday's game. I'm going to talk about the positive first, just because I feel like there's less of that, so we're going to get that out the way. But DJ Moore, absolute stud in yesterday's game. When you look at what he was able to do, over 100 yards receiving in yesterday's game, 104 yards, 6 catches, 7 targets. DJ Moore showed why he needs to be prioritized in the offense. There were never any questions, right? At least the Bears did do that much better in yesterday's game than what they did in week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. So that is a sign for, positivity, right? The DJ Moore showing the playmaker that he can be in this offense and the way that he can impact the game for the Chicago Bears. And let's hope that that does continue and that we see that trend in the right direction where DJ Moore continues to be that weapon that Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears offense drastically does need. And when we're talking about weapons on the offensive side, you also got to talk about one of the other positive pieces, and this is now 2 weeks in a row. Roschon Johnson continues to show why he deserves to be a big part of the Chicago Bears offense, right? Deontay Foreman in yesterday's game being a healthy scratch. We all expected and knew that meant that Roschon Johnson was going to be used more in the offensive side of the ball. He was not the running back one. That still goes to Khalil Herbert. But Roschon Johnson, 4 carries for 32 yards, averaging 8 yards per carry in that, 2 catches for 10 yards in regards to that as well. Roschon Johnson in just his second professional game, right, outside of preseason, of course, shows that, no, he is going to be a weapon for the Chicago Bears offense. Now, the Bears didn't move the ball well on the ground at all, right? That's why, 32 yards, one would say, hey, that doesn't sound like too great of a night. But considering the difficulties that the Chicago Bears had moving the ball overall, Roschon Johnson absolutely has showed that he deserves to be a big part of that Chicago Bears offense. He's going to continue to show a lot of things. And then, outside of that, I guess the special teams as well. We were able to score field goals. Cario Santos having a big night in regards to that. But listen, we about to go in because there's not a lot positive to take outside of that. It was a rough night for so many Bears last night. And we're going to end this talking about the coaching staff and the questions around them because they were one of the biggest duds yesterday as well. But when you look at it, I got to talk about it, and it's Justin Fields. And that's not to blame everything on Justin Fields. I feel like we live in this world now where everyone either wants to blame all or nothing on Justin Fields. Yes, the offensive line at times was absolutely bad last night, or yesterday's game. It was afternoon, right? But the fact of the matter is, Justin Fields had times and opportunities where he missed touchdowns. He missed opportunities that would have been touchdowns. He held on to the ball too long. He missed open receivers, right? He committed turnovers at the wrong time. When you look at the 2 interceptions, one that sealed the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that turned into a pick 6, right? 2 fumbles, only one was lost. Justin Fields did go 16 of 29 for 211 yards with 1 touchdown. But at the end of the day, when you look at the tape of this, he was sacked 6 times. At least 3 of those sacks were only because of Justin Fields holding on to the ball too long. The offensive line gave him plenty of time on the 3 of those sacks. And guess what? He did not make the right choices. He did not make the right reads. He ran right into a tackle. I don't know what he was looking at or what he saw. This game did nothing for the people like me who defend Justin Fields and what he can be in this NFL and for the Chicago Bears team. This game did nothing. Justin Fields supporters are going to have, if they're being objective, they're going to have a hard time to take away a lot positive with Justin Fields in this game. Yes, the offensive line still absolutely has its struggles, right? But this game was not it for Justin at all. This was one of the worst games I've ever seen Justin Fields play, and that is because he did have opportunities of getting more time to make a decision, and he did not look decisive. He looked like he second-guessed himself. And this coaching staff, whether it's that, the offensive line, whatever, Justin Fields may be broken, and hopefully he's able to fix it this season. And by broken, I don't mean it can't be fixed, but something needs to happen. Something drastic needs to happen. And then Matt Eberflus, we got word from him that today that he said that he felt like that last play was a good play call. A good play call. And then we got that, one of the guy who intercepted the football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said that he knew, the whole team knew exactly what they were going to do because the Bears went to the same formation. And you feel that that's a good play call? Listen, we're going to go in on the coaching staff before the end of the day, best believe me, but Justin Fields did not make a great decision. Like he did the touchdown to Chase Claypool, solid, really good read. The pass that he got, that he threaded, that Cole Kmet ended up dropping, that he got between 2 defenders, really good pass by Justin Fields. He didn't follow that up with 2 other really good passes that were completed to Chase Claypool. He had some moments in this, but it was so much bad in this game, and a lot of it did come down to Justin Fields and his decision-making as well. You can't overlook that. Next one up, Rasheem Green. Terrible. Do not like Rasheem Green. I know he flashed some, and some people were in the comments during the preseason and things like that and just saying how Rasheem Green was going to be able to get to the quarterback, be able to do this and that. Listen, he did block a field goal, so shout out to him for that, right? But overall, I don't know. I didn't like the play from Rasheem Green personally. I look at the all 22, but, it is what it is. He had some moments as well. Like I said, that blocked field goal attempt almost is going to take him off being a complete bad, but it is what it is, man. It just is what it is, man. We'll see what happens on that one. But outside of that, Braxton Jones continues to be bad. He's bad. Braxton Jones is terrible. When it comes down to it, he's not good. He has not been good. It's six penalties so far this season. 6 in 2 games. 6. He's turning into a liability for the Chicago Bears, and that's something that you cannot overlook at all in a situation like that. And when players start being liabilities, you really got to start looking at things. Braxton Jones, a second-year player, I still think that Braxton Jones has a heck of a player in him, but he's going to have to really, really tighten up. And then overall as well, the secondary just did not play a good game at all yesterday as a whole. I know that we lost a nice chunk of our secondary, right? And we were relying on rookies out there. Tyreek Stevenson didn't have an overall good night. Baker Mayfield completely picked on him all throughout the night. He gave up a 30-yard touchdown on that. Like, it's Stevenson. Tyreek Stevenson struggled, but overall our secondary struggled as a whole, and that definitely is part of the issue. But one of the biggest parts of the issue, before I end the episode today, and I have to talk about it, is this coaching staff. And the question that I'm going to throw to you guys, is it time to worry if this coaching staff, and I know we've talked about Alan Williams, we've talked about Luke Getsy, but now it's time to look at the coaching staff overall, right? I've said before that I like Matt Eberflus. I like what he says. I like how he talks and handles himself. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, can you get the Chicago Bears wins? And when you have things like, you think that the last play was a good play call, bad, right? When you talk about, I know that he believes and he tries to empower the young players and he tries to do all of this, but he took over his defensive play calling last night, a system that he's built, and the system ain't working. It is not working. And I'm glad that the Chicago Bears players have confidence in the system. DJ Moore even saying it's only 2 weeks into the season, but we got shoot a long season. Some because I plan on making the playoffs with the Bears. Shout out to DJ Moore for planning on making the playoffs with the Bears, because playoffs, right? We're 0-2. We're talking about the playoffs. Can we win a game, right? There's a quote on that one. Matt Eberflus so far as the Chicago Bears head coach is 3-16. That is the worst winning percentage of any coach in Chicago Bears history. Now, again, it's only 19 games, right? Not even 2 full seasons, but it's looking tough, man. It's looking tough, and the offensive system lacking. The defensive system, lacking. The defensive execution, lacking. The offensive execution, lacking. It's so much lacking with this team and so stagnant. That is what is the most concerning part of it, is that when you hear the opposing team say things like, oh yeah, we saw the formation, we knew exactly what they were going with, the same play that they always go to, we knew exactly where to be. It's tough. It's tough. And I do think that Matt Eberflus is going to get another season. But I tell you what, this season keeps going like this. A head got to roll, and it may be Alan Williams and it may be Luke Getsy. But I tell you what, as much as we talk about Alan Williams, the play calling now that the head coach took over play calling, it didn't look much better at all for the Chicago Bears. So it's tough right now, bro. It's tough right now. Lavonte David. The direct quote, everybody knew what was coming from Lavonte David. That is tough. That is the worst thing that you want to hear from a fan as a fan of a team. And it's so many questions right now going on with the Chicago Bears team. And overall, listen, the secondary that I really thought, when you look at some of the biggest issues with the Chicago Bears team currently, I really did think that this Chicago Bears secondary was going to be a secondary that got after. Now, of course, we're missing Kyler Gordon. Eddie Jackson also went down. We're relying on rookies in Tyreek Stevenson. You know, Josh Blackwell, who was expected to step up, he was out as well. But at the end of the day, this secondary is not looking good. It just isn't. It isn't. And because of that, they are getting picked apart by quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield picked us apart. Jordan Love picked us apart. And so, you know, in talking and asking the question about the coaching staff that I asked, is that it's simply put with this, right? If the results aren't there, you have to start looking at changes. And with that said, you know, we'll see, man. The secondary is a struggle overall. We'll see what happens with the coaching staff. But also another one with the question, you have, like, with the Bears having 2 first-round picks, and like I said, I am not calling for Justin Fields to be cut or traded or anything like that. I'm not saying that he's terrible. I'm not saying that he can't pull himself out of it. But when you have 2 first-round picks, if this season goes on and one of your biggest question marks still is your quarterback, I don't know if the Chicago Bears can be in a place where for 2 years in a row they have potentially top 5 picks. We'll see how this season goes, and they overlook the quarterback position. Keep in mind, Justin Fields is not Ryan Poles' guy. Now, I do think that they've invested. They've given him the weapons. They've tried to improve the offensive line. We got some issues and still big concerns with that offensive line, absolutely. But at the end of the day, if that is a question that in just fairness, in evaluating and being somebody in charge of a football team, right? If you still have a question or questions about your starting quarterback and you have first-round picks, multiple, to end the season, Ryan Poles would be foolish, absolutely foolish not to consider it, right? You got to ask yourself some really serious, tough questions. And if this Chicago Bears season keeps going the way that it's going, one of those tough questions may be about the starting quarterback in Justin Fields. It just may be. That's not to say where some Bears fans are bringing Tyson Bagent. I'm just saying, and listen, I'm not the biggest Caleb Williams guy either, right? When's the last time a USC quarterback really stepped up big time in the NFL? I'm just saying when it comes down to that, right? And then you got to look at everything from the top down. Ryan Poles has to really ask himself and look at the team that you constructed and ask, did you make the right decisions? You have potentially the second most cap space in the NFL this upcoming offseason, right? We'll see what the Bears do with that. But you got to start asking yourself, between Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, there's some questions there at the top with those guys. And, you know, we'll see what the answers to those are as we continue to go on. 2 weeks into the season, we got 15 games left this season, and let's hope that we get more answers than more questions with the remaining time that the games that the Chicago Bears have. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? How do you feel about the Chicago Bears right now after starting now the season 0-2? We have not gotten a regular season win in almost 11 months. That's tough, man. That's real tough. But that's my time for today, guys. I love you guys, man. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for our mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. No, I'm sorry, that's the wrong number. 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.